So that's what I've been doing at my day job, and I like playing around NLP and language models and stuff. So today I'm going to share the platform with Nilanjan. I would talk about a few things about AI in the future, and then Nilanjan will relate that to software building. So that's what we're going to do today. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we want to just figure out or just define what intelligence is. So we put these words here. Intelligence basically is when you have an agent that is able to understand its environment. So every agent operates in an environment. And in this case, the agent could be a human being, an animal, or a software. So if you write a software code, uh, of a piece of software, which is an agent, it has an environment and it needs to understand what that environment is and also be able to predict and then take actions. And as it does so, learn from these predictions, actions, and the environment to be able to adapt to have new behavior. So as things change, this agent should be able to change. And so you take a human being, for instance, a child learns, and then the child figures out, okay, if I've learned this, next time I see this is the action I'll take, right? And then the behavior is formed. So basically, in the nutshell, that's what intelligent, in a basic sense, will mean. So we're talking about artificial intelligence. I wanted to bring out AI, right, which is a buzzword in the news. Anywhere you turn, you hear the word AI. And I wanted to bring this chart here to explain what is the stack. Because what we hear is AI, but it's more than that. Where does it fit in the stack? Based on what we have learned, and I'm sure some of you might have seen a similar chart like this if you have been around AI before. So basically, what we're trying to say here is AI is huge, it's big, right? It's not the I mean, it's the biggest picture. That is the bigger picture. AI is the bigger picture, and within AI we have machine learning. So outside of machine learning, in here there are other techniques that can be applied for you to experience AI. So within AI we have machine learning, which is also popular, and then within machine learning, neural networks. So there are other techniques. Those who have been around machine learning will know this. You have random forest and all of the other techniques that are being used in analytics and in the practical sense. But within machine learning, there is what is known as neural networks, and these are very powerful. But if you take a neural network and it has only one neuron and it has only one layer, then or what is known as hidden layer, then it's not that powerful. It's not even different from SGBoost or random forest. And so for a neural network, actually, it behaves like a human brain. That's how they relate it to. The experts call it. It behaves like a human brain. But if it's very simple, it's not that powerful. So we also have what is known as deep learning, which is a neural network, but which has more neurons and more hidden layers, very complex. In fact, when you build a deep learning model, it's not easy to explain. It's always deep, very, very complex. Nobody can even, it's not easy to interpret what it's doing, right? Compared to, say, random forest, the simple techniques. And then within the deep learning, there is what's known as generative AI, which we are in fact experiencing at the moment. And then within generative AI, we have what is known as large language models, or LLMs. And I think most of us on this call, what we will be interacting with will be the LLMs. So within generative AI, there's LLMs. So what I'm trying to say here is when you hear of generative AI, it's not only the LLMs, but there are other techniques in there like computer vision to deal with images and videos. So LLM is just one component of a generative AI. That is what we want to put across on this slide here. And so when we talk about generative models or generative AI, well, what are these? Basically, they learn from large amount of data, and they are able to create new content out of what they've learned. So they are trained with large amount of data, and then after learning, it's able to create new content. Basically, that's what these models are.
So even when you're saying that, I feel
And as I said, generative AI is not just LLMs. If it's only LLMs deal with mostly text, right? You give it test data and you generate an output, which is mostly text as well. But generative AI is bigger than LLM, as I said. So it can take in images and audio and even animations. So you can give it video, you can give it anything, a text. Mostly these are converted into what is known as tokens or embedded. So if you take a text, you can convert it to tokens. Images can be converted to tokens. Audio can be converted into tokens. Video can be as well. So generative models deal with different types of data types. Examples are text, image, audio, and animation, and video. And so currently there's a talk about multimodal models. So I explained that generative models can take text, image, video, but until recently, you have models like LLM that deals with text, right? And then you have other models that deal with images, videos. But recently, what we see is with the advancement, there are models known as multimodal models, and these ones they can process any of these data types. So you can give it a text and even ask for text back. So the input can be text, the output can be text, the input can be text, and the output can be an image or video, or the input can be an image and you get a text back. In fact, these are very powerful, and recently that's what's in the market. And examples are GPT-4, and I think the 5 is going to be fully multimodal because GPT-4, you can give it a text and get an image back or a text back. You cannot get video back as of yet. Gemini from Google, I think it's able to give you, if you give it a text, it will be able to give you video, audio, or images out. And Llama at the moment cannot do that. So Llama, the next generation of Llama 3 may be able to give it text and get audio, video out. So Llama is not yet a multimodal model. GPT and Gemini, they are generative models that are multimodal. So basically they consume different types of data and can give you different outputs. So let's talk about some applications of generative AI. So from the background I've already said, you can see that generative AI, you can have a language model. I've mentioned it, LLMs, and then you can have models within the generative AI that can give you or deal with video and images and then audio. And then in the language models, what are some of the things you could do in the language model? So you can generate content, essay generation. So you go and you give it a prompt, and then you can ask it to give you a content. It can be an essay, and people who are into marketing can go and give it some prompt, and then they get some marketing materials out there, and then they are able to do the advertising with it. For people, most of the people on the call here, you can generate a code, right? You can generate code using some of these models. And gene sequencing is an example that you can use language models for. So anything that is text or related to text or close to text, you can use a language model. Video and an image, you can generate videos. And so we are our Sora and the likes, you can use them to generate video 3D and design, image generation, and then audio, music. There are a lot of models out there where you can go and just give it a prompt and you can get music out of it. Speech generation, you can generate speech using some of these models. And so we want to hear about the future, right? Because our talk has something to do with the future. Just give me a second. Let me plug in my laptop here. I forgot to plug it in. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. All right, there's power, so my computer is not going to die on me. All right, so we were talking about some applications, and then this talk is supposed to talk about the future of AI, right? And mostly when you think about the future of AI, I'm not an expert, so I cannot even tell what is going to happen, but we're going to focus on what some of the experts have said about the future of AI and what they call it. So mostly when you hear of the future of AI, you will hear AGI, artificial general intelligence. So basically what these experts are defining this to be, or what they are seeing, is currently, or even in like 2 years ago, when you talk about AI or language models or NLP, we're doing information retrieval. So what it is kind of like a lookup table, right? There's information in the table, and then you go in, you ask a question, and then the system gives you information back. So basically, AI was kind of information retriever. And then gradually we move into what is known as answers, what we see now like ChatGPT. So I wanted to also make a point here. ChatGPT sits on GPT. So GPT is the foundational model, right? And it helps you. So you go and you give it a prompt, and it gives you an answer. So we are in the realms of answering. So what Jensen is saying is, oh, from today's information retrieval, that is what we used to do like 2 years ago, even a year ago. We are moving, we are shifting into answers. Now we ask these AI systems, and they're able to give us answers, not just retrieving information just for information's sake. But you give it a question, is able to get a context and give you an answer. And then skills generation. So you think about your code. You write a code, you write a code for the code to represent you somehow, right? Because some of these systems are able to now write code, right? Develop. It's able to build software. We are gradually moving into that realm. So that is the future. Actually, part of the future is here. So as we said in the beginning, you cannot look at the future without looking at the past and the present. So where we are, the answers are here, and skills generation kind of is here, because you can write a code that can also write a code. So software development is here. And in fact, I can give you an example. When we started, I was saying, oh, I'm using one of my toys. I like cameras, right? I have a lot of cameras around me. And one of these cameras, what it does is, it uses the human eye. You cannot see it, but I can see it right now on my camera, because it sees that there's a human being sitting in front of it. It's able to figure it out. That is an AI. There's an AI chip actually in the camera. And so, but the advancement is, it's not using only the eye. Even if I turn my back, this system, this chip in the camera is able to know that, oh, this is a human figure. So AI is actually here, but the AGI, I don't think it's here, and that's what the experts are talking about. And in fact, there's a software I use to edit photos as well. An example, you go in, if you take a photo and there's somebody on an object you want to remove, you just need to draw a circle or something, just show that, oh, I want to remove this, and you hit a button, and then it removes it, and seamless. It looks like nothing was there. So these AI, the AI actually is here with us. We see it, we feel it, we see it in multiple applications. So that's what it is. But there's a future coming where AGI will happen, but nobody can tell whether it's going to happen next year, next 2 years. People talk about 2020, 2020. Did I say 2020? 2030, 2036. Nobody can tell exactly when. So Jensen also said, oh, the future AI will understand context. And actually, some of these LLMs, they understand context. You go in, you put in your prompt, it's not exactly what you ask, but it can figure out what you're trying to get at, and it will give you the answers. We all know this. We've dealt with Chat GPT, so that's what it is. So part of the future actually is here. And then intents. So if you write maybe a code, I'm sure in future you start writing the code, and the code will figure out what you're trying to develop and then take over. The agents will take over and then develop it and present it to you. And then it's going to be very knowledgeable. So there's knowledge here, but this is going to be more powerful than what we see. It will be able to reason, plan, and perform tasks. So you come and you give it a prompt or give it a hint, and they say, oh yeah, I know what you want, because I know. And then it can reason, understand what you're trying to look, and then plan. And in fact, it looks like Tublian already has built something, the TOS, which is on the platform, kind of trying to plan and perform tasks. So basically, that agent takes over whatever you're trying to do, and then write the code and come back, debug it, and kind of figure out what you want and present something to you. So the future is going to be like that, but it's going to be more perfect, as Jensen is saying. And then there's a professor at UC San Diego. So he is also saying we are just at the ground level. So we are just getting started. What we see now, ChatGPT is powerful. Everybody's talking about it. He thinks these things are just the beginning. The future is going to be beyond the scope of what we can imagine. And he likened it to the Wright brothers when they created what is known as the aeroplane at the time. It was fascinating, right? But if they were alive today, they wouldn't even believe what the aeroplane has become, right? We take it for granted, but for them, when they created it at the time, it was just maybe people didn't even believe in it. It was simple, right? But look at what it has become. So this professor thinks AI is going to be enormous, and nobody can even explain what it's going to be. It's just going to be powerful. So if you think ChatGPT is powerful, then what we will get maybe 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line is going to be more powerful. And nobody can really tell you what it's going to be. All that we need to do is just tag along and learn, and then learn something about it and keep developing. Maybe you'll be the one who will make it happen. And then the AI systems are available today. So how different is what we have today and what we will have? So what we have today actually is basically based on substantial training, right? We give it more data for it to learn. So the Gemini and the GPT, these are trained, these are big systems. A lot of money was spent to train them, right? And they give us related answers. So if it does not know anything about what you are asking, it cannot even give you an answer. So an example is, if you take any of these systems that exist today and you want to apply it to, say, medical chatbot or financial chatbot, the raw system itself will not perform very well. So what you need to do is to take some test data from medical couples or medical area, and then fine-tune what is it, the foundation model, right? If it's a finance application you want to build, you need to fine-tune it. You need to give it more data for it to perform very well. But the next generation, which is the AGI, actually will be based on physical. It was going to be known as physical AI. It will understand the physical world, right? So you don't necessarily have to train it with more data, but it understand it. So it will behave like a human being, as we said. It has some knowledge, and with that knowledge, with its environment, be able to understand what's going on and adapt and basically give results, right? Give information without necessarily being trained. So that's what AGI is going to be. And so the artificial general intelligence, actually, it's going to be, as I said, it's going to have human level intelligence. So the day these systems will behave like me or you, that is when we can say the AGI is here. But as of now, it's not here, because it will have self teaching ability. No, we don't have to take more data to go train it for it to perform, but the system will figure out what its environment and be able to teach itself and then give output out, right? So the software aims to be able to perform tasks that is not necessarily trained. As I said, we're not going to take more data and train and spend billions on it. Those systems will behave like a human being. They have knowledge, and as they live, as they move on, they learn more and then bring out output. And so these are some of the characteristics of what it will possess. It will be autonomous, self-control. Nobody will be there to give it more information to behave. So as I said, the medical example I gave, if there are new medical systems now, let's say there's a medical chatbot now operating in a hospital, and there are new drugs developed or something, or new disease coming, you need to go and train it. As of now, that's how it's going to be. But these AGI, what they are predicting is it's going to be autonomous and it will be self-understanding. So if there will be a chatbot for a medical system, then that system would not just have to, you don't have to collect data and then send the data to some database or whatever. It will figure out that, oh, there's a new drug out there or something. There's a new disease. So let me figure it out. So that's where it's going to be. If there will be AGI for medical system, that's how it will look like. Ability to learn new skills. So new code, the programming language comes out. It will figure it out. So if you look at the code systems out there, like the one by Microsoft, it's being trained. So if there's a new language developed today, it may not have any idea until it's trained. But in the AGI, when the AGI happens, really happens, you don't have to send new data to retrain the whole system. It will figure it out. That's what they're saying. So we'll see if it will be here. But I think AI is now even powerful for what we do. It can solve complex problems and settings and context that we are not taught. So basically, as a child grows, you don't have to put the child in the classroom to teach the child everything. The child becomes knowledgeable and goes to the world and be able to function very well. You leave school, most of the things you were taught in school, what you do at work were not taught in school, but you figure them out and perform your duties as expected. AGI should be able to perform that way because it will be like a human being. That's how we want to, I mean, the experts are predicting it to be. And then for me to conclude, we are all developers. We are asking ourselves, if this thing is going to be that powerful, then what does it mean for my job? What the experts are saying, so the same UC professor is saying is, yeah, people say it will take away jobs, but he thinks it's not going to take away jobs, but jobs will change. So there will be new jobs. The nature of job is going to change. And so what he's saying is your job may not end up being very different. So it's gonna, there's no word like not, but your job or my job, what I do as a model validator, it's not going to be the same thing in 10 years or 5 years. It will be different. But the job is not, he predicts it's going to be more interesting. We wait to see if it's going to be more interesting. But I believe him. If it's going to be different and some of the things I don't like, the AI can take over that one, then it's going to be interesting. So what he thinks is jobs will change. It's not like jobs will go away and there will not be any job. So in the development where I think the Nilanjan is going to talk about when it comes to software development, what the jobs will look like. It's going to be interesting what the professor is saying. The jobs will not look the same. There will be jobs, but if you are a developer and you feel like, oh, I don't care about this AI, then excuse me to say, you may not have a job. So maybe it's good that you're here and you're paying attention to AI and you want to learn something about it. At this point, I will give it over to Nilanjan to continue. Unless you have any question for maybe I can give 1 or 2 minutes for questions. All right. If you have any question for me, or otherwise, I'll give it to Nilanjan, and then at the end of the talk,
We do the
we'll bring your
questions at the
question.
end. Yeah, we do the questions at the end. All right, thanks, Albert. Do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, let's go ahead.
Okay. Don't show me this again. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, the multiple windows. Okay, nice, perfect.
Cool. All right, so I've been, if you guys been following our Tublian feed and socials, you probably know we talk about a lot about this. Now, Albert did point out that it will change, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide my perspective. It's going to be very intentional. It's going to be very pointed because I do believe in one version of the future that I'm going to present. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But this is what I'm describing here. Sorry, what I'm going to describe here is what this company we're building for that future. So I try to describe that era that we are getting into is called era of abundance of intelligence. Now, one of the characteristic of this, I'm going to focus on more macro changes than micro. I'm not going to talk about how there's going to be an interesting AI code generation tool, or oh, we're going to have our bot doing stuff like that. But I'm going to focus more on macro changes because those are the changes that fundamentally changes how we do work, and that's one of the interesting things we as engineers should pay attention to because that's going to fundamentally change how we build, how we're going to build our career, or how the future is going to look like. Now, it's very difficult to predict future, obviously, right? Hindsight 2020 always, but when you predict something, this type of innovation we have never experienced before, the pace of this innovation. So the timeline that are going to be talking about could be 6 months, could be 2 years, could be 5 years. But I'm 100% convinced that these changes are going to happen. Now, what the approach I'm going to take is that I'm going to try to take analogies. Have we seen similar kind of changes in other fields so that we can learn from them? So that's kind of going to be my objective. And then I'm going to specifically dive into how this is going to affect how we build software. I'm going to go very specifics in there. I do believe the labor is going to be a scalable resource in future. Now, when I talk about labor, I'm talking mainly focusing on cognitive tasks, the task that in past was completely dedicated to design for humans. Only humans can do those cognitive tasks. Those tasks will be now handled by machine. Now, what I mean by labor scalable utility in the sense is that it's almost going to be like a resource, like an electricity, like an energy. You can plug in, power up, do your work, and produce and consume. Now, what this essentially gives us into the world where we're going to have an oversupply of intelligence. And Albert did define the term intelligence. It's a crude definition, but it will solve the purpose why we are here. The ability of these agents to kind of assess the environment, learn from the mistakes or action, and modify the behavior. This is fundamentally different than calculators. Calculators have preset functions that it can use. It cannot go beyond that parameters. What I'm talking about is an intelligence. These agents should become with a set of features, but can evolve into a different set of features. That kind of intelligence. So you're gonna have an oversupply of them. Everything, anything that can be made smart will become smart. Now, this does creates an interesting effects in our environment. And I am a very optimistic person. I'm going to give you a very optimistic view of that. The thing that we lack most in Cosmos is an intelligence. We always had a short supply of it. Now imagine on your position, you have this scalable supply of an intelligence that you can plug in, power up, and do whatever you like to do. What you will do with this energy, this excitement, this oversupply of an intelligence, the possibilities are endless. Because I do believe we have lots of big problems to solve in this world. We have to colonize Mars, cure cancer, maybe automate that job that you have in your office. So now you're going to have this ability on your position to drive all this stuff. So I am very optimistic about this change. So is David. Now, there is obviously the fear, the panic that we all go through is that Albert alluded to a little bit, what's going to happen to engineers if agents starts to generate code. And if we get into the world of AGI, what we're talking about, this agent's not going to generate code, it's going to understand the requirements, can evolve, understand the context of the project, analyze the issues, problems that agents have made in the past, learn from the mistake, and get better and better every day. Sounds like how we started our career. When I started my job, I was a very young engineer, made lots of mistakes. I had opportunity and opportunity enough to work with really smart people. I pair program, they taught me how to analyze issues, how to fix, how to design systems. Now sounds like this, what took me 10 years to do that, this agents can do it in a month. Right? There is a fear, and it's a very valid fear. So I struggled with this too while I'm building this community for developers, because somehow I feel that this is my responsibility, because we have this emerging devs in our community. How will I direct them? What should I tell this community that how should we prepare for the future? Now, there are lots of interesting things in economics. Once you start thinking intelligence as a resource, there are lots of interesting idea comes in. One of the things that I encountered, which I really liked, is called induced demand. This is a classic economic fallacy or paradox in a way, where take a traffic for an example, and most of the cities and states make that same mistake. Or we have lots of traffic in that highway or freeway. One way to tackle the traffic is let's add another lane. But usually what happens is when you add another lane, more cars joins that lane, more people stuck in the traffic, you actually waste more people's time. So what I'm trying to say, what the induced demand say is that when there is a supply for something which has intense demand, the demand actually goes up. So more supply you do, the demand of that product, that service actually goes up, which is kind of very interesting. Now, this intent demand only happens to things that people really care. So for an example, people care about software. They like to automate things, but there are lots of people cannot do that because software is very expensive. Now, what we are saying is that in the world of abundant intelligence, producing software is not going to be that expensive. That means lots of people are going to have access to the software. What that means is that supply of the software is going up will actually increase the demand of software. Now, it doesn't happen for all the products. So for an example, if you increase the production of soda, a pop, we are from Midwest, we call it pop here, but rest of the world calls it soda. So anyway, if you increase the production of, let's say, Pepsi or Coke, that necessarily doesn't mean people will start consuming more Diet Coke and more Pepsi. It only happens for the product and services people really want but cannot afford them. So what we see is that what I believe is that we're going to see this induced demand happening to our industry, where increased supply of intelligence is actually going to increase demand for tasks that requires intelligence. Everybody wants that, but they cannot afford it. But now we are saying that we'll get into the point where we can do that. So will AI take our jobs, or the demand for those jobs going to go up? Will AI replace lawyers, or we will sue each other more? Will AI replace doctors, or we'll expect better services from our doctors? Will AI replace designer, or we'll expect better and more high quality design from our designers? Will AI replace developers, or we'll expect more high personalized, high quality software from our developers? Will AI replace the startup founders, or we'll expect the founders who should be more diverse, more creative, and have better ideas and better problems to solve? Will AI replace writers? And we see that already. I mean, I don't know whether you guys can, I can easily make out. And we do use lots of chat GPT to generate our blogs. And if you go through some of the blogs, I try more to personalize them. But we get to the point where you can see that this content is definitely generated by AI. So will AI replace writers, or will expect better high quality writing from our writers? So I do believe that this concept of this lump of liver fallacy, where we have finite number of work, a finite amount of work, and more AI agents coming in and doing our work means I will have no work to do, is actually wrong. What I do believe is going to happen is the demand of software is going to drastically go up. That means there will be more work for us to do. Now, I'm going to take this completely down to an agility in software development. This is a piece of presentation, a keynote presentation I did to a large group a couple of weeks back. And they were like professional engineers and coach and mentors and whatnot. So agility is essentially fundamentally how we build software. So some point down the line, or you're already some of you, are going to be part of a software development team, right? You're going to be working for some sort of customer or some product team. You're going to have a backlog. You're going to building that product or solve that custom or build a custom software application. And 99% of the software teams out there use what they call as agile software development. Some flavor of Scrum, some flavor of XP, which I'm a big fan of, extreme programming. But there are many, many flavors out there, some variation of agility. And agility has this core for, it's called, the famous, it started from the famous writing from Martin Fowler and a bunch of other groups called Agile Manifesto. I'm assuming all of you know about this when you guys are engineer. I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming you guys know. So anyway, the Agile Manifesto is kind of four things, four principles that drive it. That completely focus on that collaboration over documentation, working software over contract negotiation, customer satisfaction over contract negotiation. Sorry. Well, what are the four things we have here? Agile Manifesto. Yeah, so these are the four things: individual and interactions over process and tool, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, respond to change over following a plan. Okay, these are done by some of this senior thought leaders got together, created this manifesto to say, hey, I mean, this is how we should be building software, right? We should be focusing on, hey, team members interacting with each other rather than process and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. That means, hey, I mean, at the end of the day, your software matters. Who cares how pretty your documentation is? Your product needs to work, right? Those kind of things. So I'm going to see this is what drives our entire industry. And I wanted to focus on saying, oh, we're talking about the future, how this thing's going to change, because it's fundamentally how we work. Now, one of the things that I've been obviously thinking through here is so I'm going to go each one of this and kind of break it down a little bit. I don't know how much time we have, maybe another 5 minutes. I'm going to fly through this a little bit here, then we can have some questions. So first one, individual and interactions over process and tool. So I do believe the structure of our software team is going to drastically change. Those days are not far where a human's going to be working with AI agents. Now, when I say AI agents, and Albert mentioned this a little bit here already, is I'm not talking about co-pilots. I'm not talking about the plugins that you run on your IDE, prompt it, do some prompt engineering, generate some code. I'm saying these are completely autonomous machines that working, maybe behind the scene, maybe background, where so you're going to have some maybe 2 or 3 developers working together, and maybe 3 or 5 different AI agents. And these AI agents could be all have different personas. There could be an AI agent which is developer, an AI agent which can perform a QA task, an AI agent who can perform testing. All that stuff is totally possible. I don't think it sounds that crazy now, does it? I'm pretty sure when I talked about this last year, people were like, "You're going nuts, Nilanjan." But now it feels like totally possible. In this world, what I'm saying is that means this then you have to start thinking about how you're going to be changing your way of working when you're going to be working with not only humans but AI agents. So as a developer, your ability to coding is very important, but I think your ability of problem solving, creative skills, slowly start to becoming very, very important things to have. Because now you have on your disposable these agents that you can direct to solve various problems for you. There is a 2 seconds demo of this. Some of you have already seen this. This is the agent that I'm working on. So I'm going to pause here. Every one of you who's going to complete this will get access to this agent. This agent, while building this, I always been very transparent with you guys. You guys, our community is kind of part of our family. I treat Tublian community as a family. The ability, the power of this agent for merely working for a couple of months, that what we have achieved blew my mind. In this particular video, I mean, it's completely unedited. I made it fast so that I can make it 30 seconds. The actual video is on 8 minutes. You guys can see on our YouTube channel, where we had this agent that all I did is pointed to an issue, an open source project, and everything, and see the way we're designing this. Essentially, it goes through the steps of analyzing exactly how we work, because what I'm trying to do is actually essentially creating clone of myself, how I will approach an issue, and can I train this agent to do something like this? This is exactly what's happening. This is just a glimpse of what's going to be possible in the future. So that's the individual interaction. Sorry, I'm gonna move to the next one. So I always struggle with videos in there. All right, so teams, there's another aspect to this individual interaction is that we're going to start to have new roles, the roles that doesn't exist, which always worries me when about schools and current education system. They say we are preparing kids for the future, but I keep thinking, do you even know what's going to happen in the future? I have a very weird philosophy about education system. Anyway, so new roles and responsibilities going to obviously appear. So think about this world, right? You're working with humans and agents. When you have AI agents in your system, in your teams, compliance, security, maybe there is an AI agent customizer role whose job is essentially to fine-tune this agent so that they can properly work for projects. So it's not just QA and developers anymore. The new type of responsibility and roles going to come in. Maybe those are going to be the hottest job in the future. Personal software. This is my favorite. This is the only reason I am in this industry, working software. I love to solve problems. And I must say the type of softwares we build so far is very, very low standard. Every software we interact with. When the term, the personal software came into, obviously all of you heard this term, personal software. The real intention behind it was that a type of software that runs on your personal computer, that means laptop. But I always treated that word personal software. That means a software that's for just me, understands me, works for me. We never had that feature. The word that I use is the same crappy word you use, Excel, same crappy. Tublian, maybe 30% is personalized. It's still not there yet. I want to make it that your Tublian is going to look completely different than mine. That level of personalization. I think we are getting to the point where this is totally possible. Imagine now, you guys all learned LLM. Imagine now you're shipping your product with an LLM, a tiny LLM built into the application. From the day one, it's learning about the user interaction, figuring out, building this model behind the scenes, and then customizing the app completely based on the usage. That's now totally possible. This opens up completely new set of opportunities for us, new type of problems that we can solve. Other day, I was talking to, after this presentation, one older gentleman came to me and said that, hey, my daughters are a little bit challenged, right? They have issues, they're physically challenged. So the type of computers, the mouse they use is completely, doesn't work the standard ones. We need special customizations. And you're saying after you said about personal software, I completely relate to that. That means totally personal. Now, my daughters could experience type of application that is completely designed for them and evolves with their interaction. That's not possible. It was impossible before because there's so much customization. A software team cannot do that. Any SaaS product cannot do that. But now, all I have to do is, I know I'm simplifying things a lot. All I have to do is that ship my product with an LLM built in. That's a machine, that's an intelligence that will evolve with the product. It's totally possible. Another thing is disposable software. These are some crazy ideas, but I do see these things are happening. So long back, so Precious, how are you doing with time? Sorry, I don't want to get carried away.
Okay, we have just about 8 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So disposable software.
Five
So
minutes.
type of
5 minutes.
software.
5 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'm done. So disposable software, I'm going to skip demos then. Disposable software, this idea that really resonated with me is this concept of creating software on demand. Now, if you look at code bases and code inventory, you'll see that it's a nightmare to manage legacy code bases. It's a cost center. It takes millions of dollars to manage them. Companies struggle with them. And the code has this tendency of rotting. Doesn't matter how well designed your code is, 6 months, 1 year down the line, the code will start to smell, it will rot. This is the nature of the software. Your teams will change, a new team will come, they have no idea how this code works, and you are stuck with this unmaintainable giant code base. The idea of disposable software is, what if we don't have to? What if we don't need to manage code? We'll just generate code every time we need something, because hey, code generation is cheap now. Earlier, it was very expensive to generate code. Now it doesn't. I'm a prompt, I can get hundreds of lines generated now. This idea of disposable software came to this mind that now anyone can have this ability of, hey, I need, there is a demo. I'll share this with you guys so that you can see this, so that I will save some time. That all users have to do is prompt, hey, I'm looking for this that will solve this problem. And that prompt could be, take the data from my sales data, forecast this for me, create an app, nice chart, then ship it to this. Or hey, I need this automation which will take all these photos of my library, turn it into this, then create an album sorted by this, and create this nice video for me. All this could be just a prompt away, so disposable. Once you use it, after that, you just trash it. There is a video for this, definitely watch that when you have time. Malleable software is another aspect that we're going to come in, which is the idea of giving user the control. I do believe in something that is even crazier than what I said so far, is that I do believe in future everyone will have an ability to code. The definition of coding, the definition of developers will drastically change, but ability for anyone to generate a code or build an application, everyone will have that. So we almost get into the world, like a good analogy would be soccer. Everybody kind of plays soccer in their life or plays soccer, but there are pro soccer players and there are amateurs. So everybody's going to have this, I know how to do this, but there will be certain professional software developers, which are you guys here. This always has been tricky because now allowing users to edit, the state of art right now is we provide APIs. But API has such a high hurdle and bar to expect from a user. Not everybody can do it. APIs, I cannot sometimes understand what product API to use. How can we expect users to invoke API to customize? But again, LLM kind of solves that problem, right? We can imagine every software has this prompt window that users can type in to do whatever the user wants, and then prompt and LLM will drive and automatically change the application for them. That's totally possible. This is a good example of that with programmable documents. Customer collaboration, I don't know whether you guys are very interested. So essentially, this is where if you are working on a software product team, you always have a customer, right? Even if you're product team, your users are customer. If you're working for a consulting company, then the person that paying you money to build that custom app is your customer. Traditionally, most of the consulting companies, this is mainly for consulting companies, are very specific about contracts. So you said you're going to give us $500,000 for 6 months to build this. We spend $500,000 6 months, here is a product. The customer either said, this is not what I want something else. And there's always this commotion, this struggle that happens in every software project, which is annoying, frustrating, because we all want to do a good job. Now we're going to have this ability of kind of predictive and transparent. Imagine not only, I mean, I want to use this right now. This was only available for Googles of the world, but anyone can use it now. Imagine now your AI, you are running an AI model that predicts the user interaction on Tublian, and based on that, it also knows my backlog of the product. And based on that, it could say, hey, the feature that you've been thinking to build 3 months down the line, you should do it right now because users are looking for it. That kind of analysis, that kind of data crunching is impossible unless you have lots of money or lots of resources. Now anyone can do that. We talked about the last one on Agile Manifesto is respond to change, right? Change is the only constant. World is changing, users' behavior is changing, interactions are changing. Every company needs to adapt to change, right? How fast we can move. Now we're going to have this ability. Imagine a product developer. We used to have lots of non-technical folks in our community. I don't know about that right now. But imagine if you're a product developer, a product manager. Now you're going to have this ability of, hey, can I borrow those two AI agents? I want to A/B test something. I have this crazy idea I got yesterday. I want to experiment with this. Now you can quickly generate code, run 10 different experiments, and quickly down from the market. I mean, this was never possible before. We are getting into the point. So in a nut, what I'm trying to say, I'm wrapping up, almost done here. AI is essentially democratizing software development. The things that only handful of very fortunate people have access to, now it's available to everyone. That pluggable resource, that supply of an intelligence at your disposal. Every industry, what this fundamentally changes is that every industry, every market, everything gonna become a software market. The size of software market is what, around $150 billion, is gonna be 10x in a few years, 10x. This another analogy you could think about. I've been into industry for some time. I know how these things work, right? So imagine every company you go to, every product, consulting, business, insurance, banks, doesn't matter. Albert, if you ask Albert right now, in their bank, they have 100 projects in their backlog. They cannot get done for a couple of reasons. One, they don't have enough people to do it. Second, those projects gonna cost lots of money. Guess what? AI is solving both of them. You don't have to need lots of people anymore. You can have some humans, some agents do that. Oh, producing software projects not going to cost that money. You can do that. That's going to unleash new set of work, new set of opportunities all coming for you guys. All you have to do now is figure out how you can build software at scale. That's why I'm so hung into this idea that we all have to quickly figure out that we gotta figure out how we can execute multiple projects at the same time. How can we do things faster than what we do right now? Because as software is getting cheaper, the amount of money you can expect from your job is going to drastically go down. And we have to figure out an option. I mean, there is a certain amount of money I need to survive. If one project is not giving me that much money, I have to figure out how can I do multiple projects without hiring a large team, without hiring all this overhead. How can I do that? So this is our challenge for the future. This is the real challenge we have in the industry. Not software is taking our job. That's not the challenge. Challenge is how can we handle this huge demand that's going to come in our way in a few months, or is already here in some places. So when you into this world of future of AI or software, what I call is an era of abundant intelligence, your ambition is the most scarce asset. Whatever you're thinking today, whatever you're thinking too small, you can do more. With that, I'm going to end my presentation here. Thank you. Precious, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you very
I
much.
think I think there was a question. This is not precious, but Nilanjan, I wanted to. I think Raymond, is it Raymond, asked a question about, oh, what AI have you implemented? Actually, if you look at slide 3, I show the AI stack, right? AI is very broad. So in the bank, there are AI applications. There are a lot of them. In fact, predictions models, machine learning models are there. But I want to say banks are slow to adapt technology because of regulations. So specifically, I can't tell you, but there are a lot of models. If you go to the marketing department, you go to compliance department, all over, there are a lot of NLP projects out there being used. And in fact, predictive models like SGBoost and Random Forest run the marketing models, right? So they are there practically. But when it comes to say ChatGPT is slow, right? GPT type of models, they cannot just implement them right away. So that would be maybe my answer to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Albert, for answering that question. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other question. I am not seeing any other one. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. So first, so update on the internship. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Nilanjan. So just a quick update on the internship. This is the fifth week, and this week you are going to get the capstone project. But just a quick one. Today we are closing the link, the portal for submission of your AI bots project. So the first project you are giving today is the last day. Today is the deadline to submit it. The last time we checked, I saw that over 50 people have submitted, and I believe that a lot of people also had the weekend to work on their own, and then now that they are willing to submit. So please make sure you submit yours today. It's very, very important. Also, as we on this call, you can take a screenshot of what is going on here, and then just share what you've learned today on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere. It will be, celebrate yourself. It's 5 weeks, man. 5 weeks of learning. It's not been easy because I know some people started without even having any knowledge on AI, but here you are today. You're already almost a pro, right? So yeah, so the last thing is that our capstone project will be coming to you this week. Once it is ready, you are going to get an email with your capstone project. Of course, you know the way we do it. If you go on your dashboard, it will be on the challenge section of the dashboard. But I will send you a mail saying, "Oh, it's live. You can check the link." Then the class for last week, which is the one with Grant, was moved to next week. So next week we are going to have that session, and then I'm going to make sure that each and every one of you get a message saying, "Oh, today is the session." So next week is not going to be on a Monday; it's going to be on a Wednesday. So sorry about that, but next week Wednesday we are going to have that session. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate. And then yeah, I hope to review your demo sessions on Thursday. This week Thursday, we are going to have a demo session, please. So we are doing it on a first come first serve basics. So if you had submitted early, if you submitted your project early, your chances of being called for a demo will be high, right? So what we are doing is that we are going to send a mail to those that will be presenting. So we'll have like a spreadsheet and say, oh, these are the people that will be presenting. So you just come on that day, you demo, show us how it works. You don't need to do a long thing, just show us how it works. Show us, oh, okay, run the project and then use it on a call just so that we see it. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, I think we are good to go. So thank you for coming for
All right, thanks everyone.
thank you for coming to today's session. I really appreciate. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye.